Okay, welcome back, everyone. We'll open the meeting up to public comment, and just a reminder that public comment on the front end is for agenda items only. General items will be public comment at the back end of the meeting. So we'll open it up right up now to public comment for agenda items only. If you have a question regarding agenda items, please come up to the mic, state your name, and you can shout out your question. Okay, we'll close public comment, and our consent items right now will be HA.1 to D with an addendum that's being passed around. So that'll fall under personnel, the addendum. Need a motion to accept our consent items. Motion by Heather, second by Tom. Normal procedure, if you have any questions, if there's any item you want to pull out, if there's any comments, questions, or clarification, let us know. Everyone's good? Okay, we have a motion on the floor by Heather, seconded by Tom. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Any abstentions? So carried.
Okay, so we just approved the hiring of our new assistant principal, who will start with us at the middle school on July 1st of 2025. I'd like to congratulate Gina Sylvester, and she's here with us this evening. Congrats.
Okay, under curriculum and instruction, our monthly principals report. Start with the high school.
Good evening, everybody. Just two additions to this month's board report. The Highland Senior Scholarship event, which is coming up next week, just wanted to go over some numbers. A total of $59,617.84 is being distributed to our seniors. So big congratulations to our seniors and all the staff, especially Marianne and Val, who put a lot of effort into that. So just a quick round of applause. That's up $5,000 as compared to last year. 10 more scholarships and 10 more students this year, so we're super excited about that. Additionally, Frank probably will include this in his board report. A lot of good things happening with our sports teams here. I just got word that our girls softball team won. Is that correct, Frank? Yes. Girls softball won. Girls lacrosse competing coming up, and boys lacrosse as well. And Frank had a very successful season with the boys baseball. And then additionally, a few hours ago, I just got word that Josh Bishop will be attending nationals down in North Carolina, Greensboro, on June 20th. The national standard for that is 11.2. And he ran 11.04, so he did qualify for that, and he'll be competing in the 100-meter sprint. So best of luck to Josh Bishop. Those are my few additions for the high school report. Does the board have any questions about anything? Thank you.
Okay. So just a few quick updates. First, on Monday this week, we, along with SUNY Ulster, did our President's Challenge Scholarship interviews. Mr. Freer was there as well, along with some of our staff in the building, and then university or college staff. So while we don't have those results yet, we just want to thank them for their continued partnership with us, offering students scholarships to SUNY Ulster, which is awesome. The kids love it. We love it. It's just a great program. So I want to thank them for that. Second, this afternoon, our National Junior Honor Society did their project, which is like a service project, and they went to Taconic Rehabilitation, which is right in Highland, across from the Walgreens, Rite Aid? Walgreens, thank you. I always do that. So it was fantastic that we held a senior prom for the residents there. Couldn't take any pictures because of HIPAA and stuff like that, so they're going to provide me with some. But it was a great time. The kids did a fantastic job, and I want to thank them for that. And I want to thank Taconic for welcoming us and helping us hold that ceremony. So those are my updates. Does anybody have any? Yeah. Does anybody have? It was their idea. So the students came up with the idea. I just made a phone call, and they were like, let's do it. So I give them the credit for coming up with it. So does anybody have any questions? Thank you.
Thank you. You're up, Ian.
You know it's June when we're clapping for principals' reports.
All right, my only addition is just highlighting last night's spring concert, which was amazing. Can't say enough with our music department and the dedication and hard work that they put into it. So it was a phenomenal job, and that's my only addition. But any questions?
Just a comment. You had a lot of tenure candidates this evening, and I think you handled that very well. So, appreciate all the positive comments and making everybody feel like you've been here for 10 years or more.
Thank you.
Good job. Good job.
Okay, our directors' monthly report. Our directors are here this evening. If you have any questions for them, you can shout them out to them. Okay, as
Only comment I have is we had a lot of bus drivers retiring. We're going to have to recruit heavily this summer. But good to see. I mean, tons of years of experience that we're losing, but certainly appreciate all of their work. Oh, Mr. Zimmer, new career.
There's an individual that works for the school district that does quite well in recruitment, and he's sitting out in the audience right now, so maybe we can get him to generate some recruitment language for school bus drivers. Mr. Rizzo. Okay, again, to our principals, to our directors, year end is approaching rapidly. Hopefully, we wrap things up, and now the students can enjoy the last several weeks of the school year. Our directors can now take a little breather, recoup, and look forward to September, except for our Director of Facilities and Maintenance, who has a major capital project on his hands coming up in 3 weeks. So, but congratulations to all our principals and our directors for a job well done. And for Kai, we're going to hear your last report. Just say I don't have one. That'll be great, all right? Go ahead, Kai.
I actually don't have one. But I did want to thank each and every one of you for welcoming me on the board. I feel like I learned a lot, and I really appreciate that you guys were so receptive to me being here. So thank you.
Thank you. For Assistant Superintendent for Pupil Personnel Services and Human Resources, Dr. Boyd.
Kai, I just want to say thank you, and I know Bill and I always looked at the agenda to see who would have to follow you, because it was always such a challenge, because you did such a great job, so thank you for everything this year. At the last meeting, I did mention about some of our federal money allocations. I know there was concern kind of throughout the state about some of those changes to that. We did receive our first round of allocations, and they are similar to previous years, as we kind of thought would happen, despite some of those fears early in the year. So one of them went up slightly, and one of them went down slightly. So just kind of where we thought they were going to be. Those will be completed this month and submitted prior to July 1st. I wanted to thank Chrissy Saylor and Senior Gabby Barbaro. They had invited us to a filming of The Thread and to honor Mental Health Awareness Month in May. The film addressed a student who is struggling with her mental health in a much more true-to-life depiction. In it, she challenges the stigma associated with a typical movie depiction of a mental health struggle. She shows how students and teachers can help support those struggling and get them to support that they need. So a big thank you to Gabby for putting that movie together. She did a great job. Thank you for some of the teachers and other students who were in the movie as well. Great job there. Lastly, we have our summer planning. Our services do go year-round, so we'll be meeting with our PPS team this Thursday to finalize our summer programs and plans and all of the work that will come in as I hand some of that off to Ms. Hathaway. But we are looking forward to getting some of that done and a reboot this summer as we plan for next year as well.
Any questions for Dr. Boyd? Assistant Soup for Curriculum Instruction, Mr. Zimmer.
Good evening.
We have nothing.
I actually do. I prepared a statement. It's my last meeting official, so I did prepare something small that I'm going to read, if you'll indulge me. Thank you. Good evening, members of the Board of Education, colleagues, and members of the Highland community. As I sit here this evening, I find myself filled with both gratitude and reflection as I prepare to retire after 33 years in public education, 11 of which I've had the honor and privilege of serving in the Highland Central School District. When I first joined Highland as the high school assistant principal, I knew I was stepping into a district with strong values and a deep commitment to students. What I did not yet know was how profoundly this community would shape me, both personally and professionally. From my time as assistant principal to my years as principal of Highland High School, and now in my current role as assistant superintendent, I have been continually inspired by the dedication of our faculty and staff, the resilience and heart of our students, and the unwavering support of our families and Board of Education. These past 11 years have truly been among the most meaningful of my career. Together, we've worked through challenges, celebrated successes, and remained focused on what's doing best for kids. I'm proud of the work we've accomplished and the relationships we've built along the way. I would like to thank the Board of Education for your trust and partnership, the leadership team for your collaboration and friendship, and our educators and staff for your tireless efforts every single day. To the students and families of Highland, thank you for letting me be a small part of your story. Though I am stepping away from my formal role, I will always be a supporter of this district and a champion for public education. I will always be a Husky through and through, and Highland will always hold a special place in my heart. Thank you. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Zimmer, and we congratulate you on your retirement and hope you have many, many enjoyable years coming forward. Okay, our superintendent.
Okay, so myself and the two assistant superintendents attended BOCES, the third meeting of the regionalization activities that were going on this year in Ulster County and across the state. Bill, I just want to thank him for his active participation. It's not easy to be so active when you're not going to be here for the future, but he was contributing the entire cycle, and it was very evident today that he wants to leave a mark not only on our school district, but on the county itself. We'll have more story about the regionalization work. It is not about merging. I think that was a misnomer that some people thought it was about. It really is more about looking at services that are here in our county and how can we capitalize on working together across the county for the betterment of all of our students in Ulster County. So great meeting today. There'll be more of those coming up as the Portrait of a Graduate and the Blue Ribbon Commission recommendations start coming out in the fall. So that was the big event for today. I think Mr. McCormick already mentioned that last night was the elementary school final concert. This week we also have the middle school's final spring concert on Wednesday the 4th at 6 p.m. and then the high school follows the next night on the 5th at 6 p.m. Our moving up ceremonies are on the calendar, but please mark your calendars. You're all invited to attend those moving up ceremonies. Elementary school is on June 24th, 12:15 at Highland Middle School, and the middle school ceremony is on June 25th at 11:45 at Highland Middle School. And then the moment we're all waiting for, it's always a fun evening and very celebratory, is our high school graduation will be June 26th at 6 p.m. on the new field. So we're looking forward to that and wishing our seniors well as they move off into their college or career futures. And that's all that I have.
Okay. We have some old business. Any new business? Okay, old business. Two things that we've discussed at our last meeting. One was the crematory. Just to let everyone know, there is that meeting coming up on June 12th, the town hall. I'm sure they might move that venue to another location because I'm pretty sure that small town hall facility is going to be packed with community members. I think it was Heather that sent out a text from a school district, I believe it was in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, regarding crematories and how they push their school board to support a resolution not to support, the building of a crematory in their local community because of how it affects children in the community at large. So I just ask if we can, as a board, to attend that meeting on June 12th, if you can. We can have a presentation prepared prior to that. Mike, I know you want to speak a little bit about it.
Yeah, I mean, we could certainly attend, but I don't believe, have we been officially communicated to as a property adjoining this property? I mean, has process been followed out?
I don't believe there's been a public hearing. Tiffany's not here. I don't believe there was a public hearing set for that because only when there's a public hearing, the adjacent land owners would be notified to
Okay.
attend the public hearing. I think it's back in the zoning board for their final recommendation. I don't think this is even planning board. I believe it's the zoning board of appeals on Thursday, June 12th. No, we have not been communicated from any communication to the district regarding the crematory. I believe it's 7 p.m.
Has legal been engaged, has our attorney been engaged in this issue?
No.
They're not aware at all? So let's raise awareness of this issue. I mean, if the majority of the board feels it's worth it. I believe they should be sent a letter that the Highland School Board has come to this knowledge. And, I'm not sure what the general consensus is, but I'd like to see this application exited as soon as possible. I don't want a pet crematorium adjacent to our elementary school. And if we all feel that way, I'd rather engage legal sooner rather than later. I don't know where in the process the public hearing is, end, beginning, or end. So that's where that's what I want to talk about.
The only way that we found out about it was a reporter who was in the audience one evening at a board meeting probably 2 months ago. And the direction that I got from the board at that point was to engage the town supervisor to find out what was going on. And that, I did that, and I got back information from himself and from Dave Barton with all of the technical information
Absolutely.
that I forwarded on to the board. But as far as an official notification that there's one going there, we have not been informed of that, no.
I feel it's the time.
I can definitely get legal
act.
counsel involved.
If the majority of the board, I don't know how you feel about it. Obviously, I feel strongly about it, but if we're in support, even a majority, the answer is, I don't want to wait. I want to be out in front of this, because I feel like things are moving outside of the public eye, and I'm not thrilled about that.
How's the rest of the board feel? I mean, I'm in favor. We can go to legal, have them review the circumstance, see if they can come up with any case studies that are out there maybe throughout New York State that might support it
Even
in our respect.
For more
and-
information, we're a school district, so, I'm sure the attorneys know what letter to send that basically says, hey, we don't like your plan, and B, what's the next step in engaging them in discussion on exiting this as soon as possible? I mean, that's the idea.
Is everyone okay with that? Heather, you all right? Janine, Jen, Tom? All right.
I'll call them tomorrow.
Thanks. Thank you. As well as, now, is it okay if, I plan on attending that meeting if I'm able to. Are others going to be at that meeting?
I will
Do
attend
we
it.
worry about quorum, or can we all go? Does it matter? I just want
I
to
think if we have
guide on it.
several representatives of the school board there to voice our
Yeah.
concern, and if we do have some kind of a legal document or draft from legal to read, we'll
Perfect.
do that.
Thank you.
I think we have a few in the audience that want to speak on that. We'll do that in public comment, and then we could generate some conversation. I'll allow that. Lisa?
There's one item that we needed to pull out, I realized, for a roll call on the bus bond. So at some point before you go into public comment,
Let's do that right now.
the bond resolution, sorry about that.
That's all right.
That's item 3 under business and operations.
Yes.
Yeah, so, sorry, that I should have pulled
Okay,
out.
so that got pulled from the consent agenda.
Yeah.
We need a motion, be it resolved, the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, hereby approves the following bond resolution. Bond resolution dated June 3rd, 2025, of the Board of Education of Highland Central School District, authorizing not to exceed $962,497 aggregate principal amount of serial general obligation bonds to finance the acquisition of school buses and one pickup truck with plow at an estimated maximum cost of $962,497, levy of tax and annual installments and payment thereof, the expenditure of such sum for such purpose, and determining other matters in connection therewith. Motion, please. Motion by Heather, second by Mike. Roll call.
All right, thank you. All right, so Mike Bakaxias, just state yes or no.
Yes.
Jen Becker? Janine Gemmel? Ed Mizell's absent. Heather Welch?
Yes.
Tom Miller? Yes. Alan Barrow?
Yes.
Okay, all in favor, 6-0. Thank you.
Okay. Like I said, I know we do have some in the audience that want to speak on that, and we'll do that in public comment, and then we can generate some conversation. Another item on old business is we voted the last meeting to create an intermunicipal agreement with the town of Lloyd regarding the July 4th celebration. I just want to, and we did receive a letter from the town of Lloyd this evening. I don't know if anyone from the town's going to read the letter. I don't believe so. All right. The letter came from the town supervisor, and it lists the many years that town has provided the celebration, over 20 years for July 4th. Recently, they followed our building use form, but recently our insurance company has changed the requirements. And not only have they changed the requirements for school districts, my business, we're a general contractor in school construction. They've changed the requirements for every contractor working within school settings and every subcontractor. So it's not the Highland Central School District that has initiated this major change in their insurance requirements. It's the insurance company that's requesting this, not the Highland Central School District. It was also stated in this letter that the town is very community-minded, and they work tirelessly to bring our residents together with events such as this, as well as others. The town is very community-minded. They have never turned down the school district for use of any of our properties. We can cite examples if needed, such as the use of a town field, Tony Williams facility, Highland Landing for its students and athletes. I understand that. I've always worked with the town. I think the school district has always worked with the town and used that phrase, shared services. And that's what it's all about. The Highland Central School District has supported Summer Fun in many, many years with bus transportation for their weekly, I believe it's a weekly event where they travel to areas such as Splashdown. We do not charge for the buses to transport those children. They're our community, so we work with them. So that shared service is back and forth with the town and the community. The issue of the requirement of insurance, additional insurance for a function that the town is proposing, not the Highland Central School District, is beyond our control. I just want to cite the requirement from NYSER on their umbrella and excess insurance. For general use, they're looking for $1 million. For organized athletic leagues, they're looking for $3 million. For athletic and recreational camps, they're looking for $5 million. And for carnivals and fireworks display, listed right here, they're looking for $10 million. SED, in all the years that we've provided the use of our facility, what the superintendent has to sign off is we have to get a permit from SED to require the use of our facilities for fireworks. And the SED's procedure requires, among other things, the proof that display provider has the appropriate pyrotechnic licenses, including those issued by the Federal Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, and the New York State Department of Labor. Assurances from the local fire marshal of suitable conditions for the display, and a confirmation from local authorities for crowd control and fire protection, all of which must be subscribed to the superintendent of schools as a signatory on the permit application. So we as a school district are not saying no. We're providing the use of our school property, but we have to follow the recommendations of SED and our insurance carrier. As simple as that. I'm not proud of the fact that we are going to be held responsible if the town event, the celebration on July 4th, is not fulfilled. I'm sure the fingers are going to be pointed at the Highland Central School District, and I don't think that's fair. Everything is spelled out. The documentation is here. If anybody wants to pass it along to the town, you can do it. It's all right here. So I just felt that we had to put some type of closure to what the school district is doing for the town in regard to the July 4th celebration. We've never turned it down. Right now, we're handcuffed by insurance. That's the bottom line. I'm going to open it up to the rest of the board to support how you want to follow through. We have a motion out there and a past motion to have our legal enter into or draft a intermunicipal agreement with the town. There are some stipulations in that. The one that I think we're going to struggle with is that they're asking us to provide some type of educational experience that this event is going to translate into, either our staff, our students being involved as an educational experience. Just open it up to the rest of the board and your feelings.
I'll start. Just so I'm 100% clear on what's transpiring here is that the Highland Central School District is allowing this event to happen. We have no qualms with the use of our facilities. We just ask that all of the insurance guidelines put forward be covered. And as I understand it, one of those guidelines requires additional funding for up to $10 million from the fireworks company. And the discussion here is whether the school board would approve paying the difference in funding. It's not about using the field or the space or the property. It just feels like a misappropriation of funds when there isn't, which isn't part of the district's educational program. So it's not about hosting the event. The property is for use, and we approve all that. It's asking for additional money to have it happen. Am I surmising this correctly, just so I'm fully clear?
Yes. As far as we know, our insurance carrier is requesting the entities that are using our property to secure, and it would be the town and their vendor to secure $10 million each. That's their requirement for fireworks and carnivals.
So this event can absolutely happen as long as the town and the vendor follows through with everything that's required.
Correct.
Okay, so it can happen as long as they follow those details.
Sure. It happened last year. They followed the requirements of NYSER last year. The town did, and it happened.
And just
Right.
reading in
Thank
the
you.
letter that the town provided, it does look like the town has the appropriate amount of insurance. It's the vendor that they are looking to use that does not. After our meeting last meeting, I did receive some feedback from some community members and actually some small businesses within our town who actually were quite upset with the conversation that was happening here, that the school district was considering paying for that portion of that insurance. As a small business provider provided the information to me, the town is requiring them to have a certain level of insurance that this small business cannot afford and will not be attending a town event because they can't afford the insurance that the town is requiring. So I do not think it's something that is just the school district. I know in my professional life, it's always something that we're working through as well. Insurance has gotten more expensive. It has gotten stricter. What they're requiring has gotten more stringent. And I agree, it should not be put on the school district itself. So just want to make sure that, we all keep in mind really what we're talking about. We're not talking about the possibility of hosting the event. It's really just the cost and the insurance required.
Any other discussion?
We have an issue before two municipalities. The municipalities, I believe, have an interest in working together to work this out. And I think that if this isn't an avenue to help work this out, then perhaps there's other avenues to do that. Again, we shouldn't feel like there's anything dirty. There's no misappropriation. As a matter of fact, I feel quite comfortable speaking in open session about an intermunicipal agreement to address a common problem the two entities have. I'm certainly looking for that to pass through legal's review and everybody's comfort level. But, you know, sometimes we go to the town with a problem, sometimes they come with a problem. I feel a responsibility to help try and to solve it. You know, if it's unsolvable, I understand, but it just doesn't, you know, I don't see that in my purview right now.
I think part of my dilemma here is that just recently, several months ago, I know we put a freeze on spending. I know the athletic department had a freeze put on some of their purchases, and rightfully so, because we're trying to, you know, we're working on a tight budget. I know we're having some additional expenses currently because we have 2, possibly 3 of our sports teams going to states. And that cost is probably more than what we're looking to afford to the town for their July 4th celebration. So, I mean, we are, and the unfortunate thing is that I know Babe Ruth requested use of our facilities back in the spring, and they couldn't meet their insurance requirement, but they went out and got their $3 million additional policy that NYSER has requested, and I don't believe it was an exorbitant amount of money to get that $3 million. So, and I've said this before, that we've got to bring in our community sports and either, you know, cheer, Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, whoever wants to use the facilities that is governed by NYSER and the insurance requirement, just see what those additional premiums would be and how we can work through that. So I'll entertain anybody else that wants to have discussion. At some point in time, when we open it up to public comment, I'm sure we're going to have some more discussion, both on the crematory and on the July 4th celebration request.
Does an intermunicipal agreement, once it's signed, is that a year-to-year basis that gets, you know, started again? Is there a sunset on it?
I don't think it could be whatever we want it to be, basically. I mean, that can run, you know, year after year after year. The thing that I believe we have to have resolved is what happens next year? What happens the following year? You know, where does this go? Does that cost increase each year? And do we budget for it? Does anybody budget for it?
Well, you know, when we talk about costs, Mr. Flavchak's letter alludes to something, and in exec, I even said, look, the town and the school overlaps in so many different ways. There's certainly ways to offset these costs. Our commandeering of the Tony Williams Field in the current school year, where we've got tennis practice, tennis matches, track practice up there, has a cost to the town. Now, Frank's great, he doesn't communicate that, but I am telling you, with the more traffic there, the average cost to the town is $10,000 to $12,000 over the annual. More supplies, more maintenance. There's a lot of people over there. And they do graciously give it to us, and I just want the powers to be to possibly work out an agreement where there's an exchange of value that can work in perpetuity to offset this increase in town, but also address the rental of the Tony Williams, the consistent rental of the Tony Williams Field to Highland Central Schools. I mean, there's many avenues if the leaders around the table agree that a solution is present.
I don't disagree with that, Mike, but earlier I mentioned that we support Summer Fund with bus transportation on a weekly basis for those 4 to 6 weeks, whatever it is. We run 1 or 2, I don't recall, it's a couple buses, I believe we run for transporting Summer Fund students to a venue, Splashdown, wherever else they go, at no charge. So, I mean, one hand washes the other when you want to use that as a reason to move forward. I think we have to come up with another reason, because I think, like I said earlier, the shared services is there. We help, they help. Yeah. And that's part of it.
I guess
And that's what
my-
we've been doing for a good number of years. Summer Fun, when I served on recreation, going back 20-something years ago, was the same scenario. The Highland Central School District supplied buses to Summer Fun and transported the children.
Is that in an agreement?
Huh?
Do we have a
There's no
intermunicipal agreement
intermunicipal agreement, if you want to
with
call
the
it
town
that
of
at this
Lloyd
point in time.
in the district?
It was just a handshake, and it was just a common practice
No, but
shared
now,
service.
I'm talking now.
We have an agreement for the SRO,
For that specific purpose.
for that position.
But not addressing the
Not
creating of field usage,
Not that I'm aware of.
buses.
No, I don't believe so.
With this specific situation that we're talking about, what I get hung up on is we're not even looking to cover the cost of the town's piece. We're looking to cover the cost of the vendor's piece, to my understanding. That, to me, is even more of a red flag. But additionally, I guess before we would do anything, my question would be, have we vetted all of the vendors out there? I mean, pyrotechnics is a pretty risky thing, right? Like, I would think that some vendors maybe do have that insurance, and I wonder if that has been vetted, that if there are any other vendors. Obviously, right now for this year, I'm sure it's too late, because July 4th, obviously, I'm sure people book up pretty quickly in that profession, but has that been vetted? We're not looking to cover the cost of the town, we're looking to cover the cost of a vendor.
But Heather, I think you bring up a good point, and I want to bring that up, the timing of this, right? If this was an issue last year, right, why did it just be brought to us in the past couple of weeks? 4th of July happens every year the same time. So if this was an issue last 4th of July, then July 5th last year, things should have been brought to the table, and there should have been investigations to figure out, is there a better vendor that has the insurance policy that they need to have, especially for something as risky as fireworks? What could the school do if we did it this year? There was none of that until last minute. So the timing of this also, I think, makes it a little bit tough, because if the fingers are going to be pointed at that, it's the school district that's not going to be allowing this event. That's not true. It's the circumstances around the vendor that the town found to do the fireworks doesn't have the appropriate insurance.
Like I said earlier, in my occupation, we've had vendors, which would be subcontractors, which would be vendors, just like the letter stated that their subcontractor is a vendor, denied work in school districts because they can't come up with that insurance, that $10 million liability. And we've had quite a few smaller companies that have to deny doing work in schools because NYSER is requiring, and NYSER and Utica General, I believe it is, Utica Mutual, Utica National, are the two carriers of school districts in New York State, and they're both asking for the same requirements. So it's not, it's affecting everyone, and it's unfortunate.
So I guess where do we sit on this? We passed a motion last week, but like what?
Last meeting's motion was to have legal draft a intermunicipal agreement, which we have the language of that. And it states that they're looking for us to be able to try to identify the educational purpose of us funding that event, or being a co-funder of that event. What is the educational purpose that we can justify.
Right, I believe the language is a nexus with the education of the students, and, you know, agreed, July 4th, when school's out of session, it's a tall order.
So I guess the question right now is revolving around the motion that was approved at our last meeting regarding the municipal agreement. We can bring it up again, have a vote if we're going to accept what the language is of that intermunicipal agreement, and then have to come up with a creative way of making it educational.
I mean, would it be worth bringing in Strong at the next meeting for an exec beforehand, just so we
Our
can?
next meeting is July 1.
Oh, that's true. That's why the celebration was this evening.
We have to move on that motion to accept that draft intermunicipal agreement or not. So right now, we have the motion to move for legal to draft one. Where are we going with it now? Are we dead-ended with it and we're done? Or we're going to move
Well-
forward with it?
Let's say if it was, it's either going to be passed or not passed this evening, right? So if it's passed, what happens next?
We have to be very creative and come up with a educational idea to support it.
Does our
Make it-
administration feel that they can do that and that is justifiable and ethical?
And at what cost does that come? If we have to align this with some educational programming, is the cost more?
If we were to align this with some kind of activities that would take place that day, I would have to bring in staff. It's a holiday, so that would be additional time. And whatever activities we'd be doing, I would assume that those would be at our expense. I don't know that that is feasible to expect a school district to create an educational program on the 4th of July. But if that's what the board is looking to do, I can't perform miracles, but I will do whatever the board is asking me to do. I will not be in New York State on that day, though, so, Bill is retired, and I believe Patrick is away that weekend also.
So, in order to move forward, right now, our resolution at the last meeting was to draft a intermunicipal agreement. That has been done. We have to act on either moving that forward or not moving it forward. And it doesn't have to go, if nobody goes to a resolution, it just dead ends there. I mean, unless someone's going to put forward a resolution to accept that intermunicipal agreement, then we vote on it. But if we don't get that motion and second, then it dies right there.
Or it could be tabled.
It could be, yes. And then we would have to have a special meeting, tabled for whatever reason, and have a special meeting. Do you want to come back to it, and we'll open it up to public comment and see if we can generate some more discussion?
That sounds good. We'll put it to vote. I'm comfortable putting it to vote tonight.
Okay, we'll hold that right now. Is there any other old business? Anything for the good and welfare of the district? We'll open up the meeting to public comment for general items. Okay, whoever wants to come up, state your name and
Hi.
There you go.
I have a couple of handouts. Can I just like pass them around? Hi, so my name is Megan Quinn. I am a mother of a kindergartner at Highland Elementary. I'm also a high school English teacher in a nearby district, so thank you for all you do. I know it's a very hard job to be on the board, and it calls for a lot of late meetings. So I'm here to talk about the crematory. You know, when I first moved here from Saugerties about, I guess it was 7 or 8 years ago, of course you ask, I didn't have a kid yet, but of course you asked about the district. And my coworkers all had amazing things to say about the district. I did not hear one negative thing about the district from my coworkers in the nearby town, which was amazing. And, you know, now that I've experienced the school, I have to say it has exceeded my already high expectations. The faculty, the staff, it is amazing what you do in such a small district. There's a feelings teacher who comes in and talks to them. There's a handwriting guy who comes in and helps them. I guess he's an OT, I'm not sure. There's a speech person. My daughter has been getting so much amazing attention. So I just, first of all, want to thank you because it's just amazing what she has accomplished this year. But this is why it sort of pains me to be here today, especially after this celebration of what makes this district so great. You know, seeing all these older kids and their accomplishments and what they've done. This district has a good reputation, and your reputation is priceless. And our elementary school reputation and our district's reputation is in jeopardy because of a short-sighted, nonsensical, and frankly, highly unusual proposition, which is putting a bulk animal incinerator 200 feet from an elementary school. When I mention this to people, they liken it to something Mr. Burns on The Simpsons would do because it is that bizarre. The closest animal incinerator to any school in the state is over 2,000 feet away. So this is a remarkable district, but we're going to be remarkable in a very odd way. I think that the public perception of our district will shift because of the attention this is getting. As a parent, knowing that there is a bulk animal incinerator 200 feet from my kid's school, do I really want to move to that district? I will tell you very honestly, I would have second thoughts about that because it's just bizarre and it's not right. There's a lot of research. I know you mentioned before about research about this kind of thing. We have a lot of research. There's a group of us who've been really advocating for this. We have a website that's on your flyer. It's letkidsbreathe.com. And you can see lots of statistics about the emissions and how they're harmful for kids. And we already know this as people invest in education. We have laws about the emissions from school buses, how you can't idle next to a school. We have legislated this. So why would we have a constant source of emissions right next to our school? If you look into the project too, just like the way the height is, the chimney is, it's not a smart move. So basically, the project makes no sense. Basically, the crux of the issue that's coming before the Zoning Board of Appeals on June 12th is it's a zoning issue because many other places, this is zoned as a facility. We have it zoned, the determination was made that it was a service business, but an incinerator is usually not a service business, it is a facility. So that is the actual reason for that Zoning Board of Appeals meeting on June 12th. But another key problem was alluded to earlier in this meeting, which was the fact that the school district and you, the Board of Education, was never actually properly notified about a public hearing, because there actually was a public hearing on this exact issue about the pet crematory going next to the elementary school. it was set at the planning board meeting on February 27th, and there was a unanimous vote to set the public hearing for March 27th, and the public hearing was held. The only reason we know about this issue, that they are putting the pet crematorium, was a local man called Bruce Epperson, who is a retired zoning lawyer, was watching the minutes or watching the meeting for fun, I guess, and he saw it and went to the public meeting and said this project makes no sense. So the process hasn't been followed properly. And you obviously should know what's going on because you're the Board of Education as a huge stakeholder. So I have two questions for you today. How can we work together towards our common goal of keeping Highland remarkable for the right reasons? So I basically have two asks. Will you, as a board, write a letter to the Zoning Board of Appeals or the town or whomever stating your opposition to the project itself, and the fact that you weren't even given proper notification? And my other ask, please, is will board members, either just as a group officially or just as individual stakeholders who care about this, come to the Zoning Board of Appeals meeting Thursday, June 12th at Town Hall at 7 p.m. And I'll just close with this. You know, our youngest Huskies, they're doing their jobs. Speaking for my daughter, she learned all her uppercase and lowercase letters this year. She conquered all her fears, her social fears. She learned how to say mozzarella, and she couldn't say that because of her great speech teacher. So our kids are doing their jobs, and we need to do our jobs as parents and leaders because the kids can't speak for themselves. They're little kids. We have to protect the environment and the integrity and the reputation of Highland Elementary School. And if you have any questions, let me know.
An answer to two of your questions, I think we discussed that earlier.
Okay.
We are having legal look at it.
Yeah.
And we are going to attend the June 12th meeting.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks.
Anyone else for public comment?
Hi, Dave. I think you all know me, Dave Plapchak, Town Supervisor. And so I'm glad I came because I heard a couple questions that, for one, we didn't just start looking at this, Janine. We've been looking at this since last year, okay? And we had the issue last year, and we never had it before, by the way, which was kind of, I think, what started all this last year. Every prior year, we turned in our certificates of insurance, the vendor certificates of insurance, and it got approved at the local level, and we moved on. That's how it worked. Last year we had the issue, so we had our team start looking at other venues, whether it was at the river, whether it was at Tony Williams, and they're the only spaces big enough to meet the radius of the fire district, okay? And the issues with both of those venues happened to be parking, happened to be blocking roads, and we chose not to do that at the time. And the other question I heard, so then I did come forward, I think I can show you the emails, back in March to start working on this insurance issue. So it wasn't like I just started it with our back against the wall, so I want to clear that up first. Second question that Heather brought up on vendors. We also went out to 4 fireworks vendors, and all of them have $5 million of liability insurance, which appears to be the industry standard in this area, okay? And then as I thought through this a little bit, I said, I have 10 million, it's my event, right? And NYSER, who you have, we have NYMER, by the way, which is municipal insurance reciprocal, yours is school insurance reciprocal. And I'm sure if I went to NYMER and asked them, what should I be asking the school district for when they use our fields, I'm sure it would be higher. Okay, I'm pretty positive it would be higher because they had sent me a letter. Okay, but we make the decision at the town board level. Okay, so when I look at what NYSER is asking me for, they're saying if the vendor has $10 million, all I need is $1 million. That's 11. Right now, I have 10 million, the vendor has 5 million, that's 15. So where we're at right now is actually better than what, aggregate-wise, than what NYSER's asking for. And when I look at your use, your facility use, it says $10 million in aggregate. So I'm really trying to understand how we get to this, specifically all of our subcontractors for our event, which I'm ensuring, also require that. So what I asked in my letter wasn't for, and believe me, I didn't come to the school board asking them to pay for any part of our event. I asked for them to make the decision local, which is what we do, okay? We have never turned down the school district to use our fields, and we can go tit for tat if you want, Al, but I don't want to do that. I don't think it's necessary, right? I mean,
Not
just last
necessary.
week, we got a call for Tony Williams Field for a senior barbecue, for our pavilion, for the music department, and we didn't even hesitate. We just did it, okay? I could charge revenue. I could charge for that, because that's what we do to, to residents and everybody
Let
else.
let me just back you up, because I
Okay.
know through our business, working with school districts.
Okay,
Per NYSER, carnivals and firework displays is $10 million each occurrence and aggregate. What that means, because we go through the same thing, we might have $5 million umbrella, but then we have $6 million of excess umbrella. That's the aggregate. That puts
Right.
it over the 10 million.
right.
So your vendor doesn't have 5 million and excess liability of 5 million to put it at 10.
Correct.
It's not the aggregate to both entities.
Correct, but I have 10 and 20.
That's fine, but your vendor doesn't have it.
I understand that. I do, I understand.
Yeah,
that.
so, I mean, I
understand that. What
guess-
I'm asking is for a local decision. That's what I'm
Right.
asking for. I'm not asking for you to pay for it. I don't want you to pay for it. I'm asking for a local decision, just like my board makes local decisions when the school district asks for something. That's all I'm asking for. It's a community event. We're trying to build the community up.
Dave, I agree with you 100% they're a local decision, but let's expand our scenario. We're a school district. We have currently coming up millions and millions of dollars of capital project.
I understand that.
We have vendors that can't secure the 10 million.
I understand.
So are we to make a local decision and say John Joe Plumbing can do work in here because he's only got 5 million because we're making that exception? Because what's going to happen, it's going to be a trickle-down effect. Once we say okay to the town with their vendors, that's going to trickle down to the attorneys and everything and say, well, you already did it for your town, you got to do it for them now.
Oh, well, here's the deal. I will not have them in your field next year. This will be the last year I have them there. I will move them so I don't have to go through this. And I would rather pay for logistics and police support than be extorted by an insurance company. I mean, really, that's where I'm at with this, okay? Look,
And I appreciate that, Dave, but except having the event there supports those town
I got
businesses.
you.
That's
I
what's
got
so vital.
That's
We move
why-
it
that's why we have it
anyway,
there.
they don't get the same support on that particular
I
day
agree.
or days
I
leading
agree.
up, so.
I agree. That's why we have it there. That's why we've always had it there, Mike. And I appreciate the help that you've given us, and I am trying to create a community that includes the school district. We come to your civics class, we try to help people, we bring people out, we honor the students when they come through, and we're trying to create a community, and that's why it's in the center of town. That's what we do, that's why we do it. And I am fine moving it instead of paying for insurance. I would rather pay to move the venue. Unfortunately, that hurts the local businesses, yes. But, so again, as I put in my letter, I'm not asking for money. If that's how you want to do it, that's your choice. I am asking for the decision to be made locally. Thank you.
Anyone else for public comment?
Can I just maybe comment on that?
Sure.
Or I guess question or discussion?
We're back to
My-
the discussion of both crematory and
Yeah, just on the fireworks itself. I understand the request of a local decision. I guess even at a local decision, when we think about what the school has been through the past year and a few months now, right? It was not too long ago that we had a fire in the middle school, and we had all of our middle schoolers in the high school. And that's really my concern at making a local decision. It's not about not wanting a community event. It's, we are probably already red flagged in our insurance company's system. We just had a major fire. We were out of that school building for quite a while. They covered everything we needed. They covered everything we needed up here in order to make everything work. It would be my concern that if something were, God forbid, to happen, where would we go for insurance at that point? I know we're already high risk. There's only one other insurance company, as I understand it. They're not really interested in taking us on as a customer. That would really be my concern. I'm very risk adverse, and that's where my concern would be.
There's, yeah, go ahead. No, that's
You
fine.
brought up another point.
We're-
The other
we're-
thing that I did research was firework incidents. And firework incidents occur when you have fireworks right in a warehouse, in a nightclub, and in residence. Open field fireworks, surrounded by fire trucks, fire people, with a 400-foot radius, it's about a 5 sigma chance of having an incident. 5 sigma is 1 in 100,000, for those of you who aren't math people, but it's a very low risk for open field fireworks. So I just wanted to make sure that was also clear.
It is a tough decision, and, you know, I'm going to allude back to what Babe Ruth had to do back in March. Unfortunate situation where they had to secure the $3 million occurrence in aggregate, and they spent the extra money to get that insurance so they could utilize our facilities during spring training for indoor activities. I think the discussion's got to center around, if we're going to do this one time, it's got to generate and just around every youth organization that wants to utilize our facilities, because what NYSER is asking for those organizations is probably beyond what they have as coverage. So I think it opens up, you know, more than just one occurrence. It's asking us to do it throughout all the youth activities that want to utilize our facilities, all the vendors that come upon our facilities. And I think my biggest drawback here, as much as I want to do it, the biggest drawback is NYSER is going to catch wind of this. And then what happens? Utica National, I keep saying that. Utica National is already, we reached out to them to see if we can change, and they have denied us. So where do we go from there? It has nothing to do with, you know, a God forbid situation. It's got to do with NYSER catching wind that we locally allowed that drop in coverage, which I'm sure deep down we all want to do that. But we're a fiduciary our fiduciary responsibility here as board members is for the district. And you know that old saying, a while ago, it can't happen in Highland. But the occurrences around the nation can happen anywhere at any time. And I don't want to be the naysayer here, but I'm looking at it as our fiduciary responsibility to the district. Where do we go?
Al, are you worried about NYSER catching on? Obviously, we all are. What are their options? What would they do? What do you think they would do if we did this without their okay? Would they deny us insurance, or would they make it
Do we want to
prohibitive?
chance it?
Or there's a risk factor in a lot of things in life.
I mean, if we go to ask them, what are you going to do if we?
Well,
go-
no, I'm not saying ask them. I didn't say ask them that. I'm just saying, if you just do it and it goes through, everything's fine, they get wind of it, And at that point, what do? Raise our rates or goodbye, we're not gonna insure you?
I guess they could raise your rates. I guess they could say goodbye. I guess they could do anything. I mean, ask a lot of community members. Car insurance, they'd drop you like that, and you had no occurrences, they'll drop you. That's just the way insurance is today. I mean, look at what they got at the billions and billions and billions of dollars they got to shell out for all these. Yeah, insurance companies are wealthy. They reinvest and reinvest, but they're paying out a lot, so they'd drop you in a heartbeat. I've known people have had car insurance with the same company for 30 years and got dropped because of no reason at all. I'm sure we all have some people that we know that's happened to.
So ideally, town has Tony Williams Park as a site that's acceptable. I know the issue with the town business owners and stuff, some of them would take a hit on that night. My thing is, municipal agreement, IMA, if we entered into that with the town, have it at Tony Williams, and then our end of the intermunicipal agreement would be providing busing back to this site.
But I think it's too late for the town to really
No, but I'm
look at
just
that
saying,
as a,
point for maybe in the future.
well, yeah, David said that, yeah.
I can't hear you.
I said, I'll figure the future out, Tom. I'm only worried about this year. I'll get through this year, and I and the town board will figure out the future. All I'm worried about is this year. And by the way, I have the same problem with Nymer. They're exclusive, so nobody else can bid it. And I'm sure it's the same problem with NYSER. They won't drop you. They'll just keep raising your rates. They raised mine another 20% last year, and they'll probably raise it another 20% this year, because I can't bid it out anywhere, because they're exclusive to our region for NYMER. They're an insurance reciprocal. You're not supposed to get hurt with claims, but the claims are supposed to be spread, but you do get hurt with them. So I understand the business they're in. Okay? And, but I'm only worried about this year now, Tom. I will figure this out with the rest of the town board. Thanks.
Thank you.
I mean, our cleanest way is to try to fund it. That's our cleanest way at this point. We fund it for 1 year only, as David said. They'll work around that for the future. 'Cause I think that was one of our concerns earlier, that how do we, what happens next year, the year after, the year after. I mean, I don't think we're going to go to next year and the year after. We can fund it. Is it going to open up a can of worms? Absolutely. Somehow, we have to look at the other groups that are coming in that can't support the requirements of how we can work with them. So, I can't make the decision alone. It's got to be the full board, so I'm opening it up for discussion.
I have one more question. Sorry, Dave. Can you come up again? I'm sorry.
Bring
Has
your
there
Bring the chair over.
getting your steps in? I apologize. Has there been discussion with the vendor about them getting the insurance that they
Yeah.
require,
Yeah,
and how much that would be?
It costs them $6,000, $5,600, and they won't ever use it again because nobody else requires it. He told me the only time they get a bigger umbrella is if they're doing a show at the Meadowlands or something of that size. For these small shows, they never require more than $5 million. That's why I think NYSER standard is incorrect. That's my opinion.
Right.
Right? But they don't. We've asked them to buy it, so they said, "Well, man, it's good for you if you have it." But they're saying, "Well, no, it's not because there's no ROI for them.
Right.
They won't get additional business for it."
So they
Right.
will not entertain the possibility of even
No, well, they
getting
have
it.
to buy it, and I paid for it last year. That's what I would do again this year if we choose to go forward with it. And
Okay.
as I said, I talked to 3 other vendors, Fireworks Extravaganza, Legion, and the one we use, July Forever. They're all 5 million. That seems to be the standard. And then there was a 4th one we reached out to who didn't respond back to us. But that appears to me to be the industry standard is 5 million. That's what they carry.
Okay.
So why nicer has a higher requirement? I can understand if it's a nightclub or a warehouse or residential, but not an open field.
Okay.
So maybe that's what's off.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
I'll, not speaking for Dave, but I'll, we could throw something else out there that we share. We share the cost, another avenue, possibility.
I guess the question is, how do you do that without an agreement, without it being viewed as a gift of public funds?
I would say on our end, the justification can be there. I mean, we do use town facilities. That justification could cover the rental of those facilities for this year only. Where it goes from here, it's not up to us. I mean, we're documenting it as rental of facilities. Desmond's not here, and I don't want to speak to him, but speak for him, he would have to.
all the legal checkpoints. I mean, again, there's no under the table work here. It'll
No.
all be out in the open. It's all going to be vetted, but we need a mechanism here to work with our municipality.
Come on up. General comments.
You had read off a list with the prices for sports, something that I'm involved in at both the youth level and working with you directly to build our varsity programs as well, which we agreed starts at our feeder programs, our kindergarten students moving all the way through. What are the costs again? Can you read those numbers off, if you don't mind?
The umbrella and excess insurance for general use is $1 million. Organized athletic leagues is $3 million each occurrence in aggregate. Athletic and recreational camps is $5 million each occurrence in aggregate. Carnivals and fireworks displays, $10 million each occurrence in aggregate.
So for youth sports, there's probably not a league in this town that meets that aggregate of $3 million. They're all 1.5.
Well, I think for most of them, because when I was involved in Little League, it's $2 million.
Right.
So you're going to look for $1 million to cover that $3 million.
And I know, I look at my involvement with youth softball and baseball. That's a league that's struggling financially. They did end up having to pay for it over the winter, and we pushed hard to get these facilities, and they're beautiful facilities. I don't see our leagues and our youth. They're going to end up doing it, but every way we spin this, whether the town pays for the fireworks, whether the youth pays for their leagues and their additional insurance, it's all getting passed back onto me, the taxpayer.
Absolutely.
And I don't think these leagues are going to be able to access the facilities that we pushed really hard to get. And I think that's what a lot of people are asking at this point, how do we make them accessible? Because I don't know even if some of the leagues can actually get insurance above and beyond what they have because they get their insurance through the league. So for example, like lacrosse and youth football, they buy their insurance through the league. That's what they offer. It's a one-shot price. So I'm going to give you an example. We want to do a free football clinic for youth, for Highland youth that are enrolled in Highland youth football here on our turf this summer. 2 of our students are doing this as their capstone project through the Civic Seal of Readiness. We can't use the field because they need $5 million of insurance. I'm going to have 2 17-year-old boys go out and buy $5 million and put that liability onto themselves to do something that would be a community service event for students that are already enrolled, and we're already paying for the insurance of the school district to use this and the taxes on the buildings. There's got to be a better way.
I agree with you. I think I've said it at several meetings that we need to bring all our youth groups into a general meeting and kind of let them, they got to brainstorm what these requirements entail. So we have a feeling, I'm going to use, Babe Ruth, if their general liability is 2 million and NYSER's looking for 3, what is the cost of that additional $1 million premium to get that excess up? Let's just say it's $600. I mean, Dave said for 5 million, it's $6,600. Say it's $1,000, and they have 200 kids in their program. It's $5 more for registration. I mean, I used this when I ran Little League for 40-something years.
yeah.
That was back then it was a little different, It was, why smoke that extra pack of cigarettes? I mean, I'm talking 40 years ago. You save that $4 or $5 and you pay for your kid's registration. It's a little different now, but
Of course.
I need to let them know what that is going to cost all these youth programs, so we have a good feel of what it is.
Gotcha.
Just like now we knew from last year that it's a little over 6,000 to provide that extra 5 million, but we don't know how the impact is on our youth programs, and I think we need them to come forward and,
So if I'm
or
hearing
we
you, what
reach
you're-
out to them and
what
bring
you're
them
asking
forward.
for is the leagues that I'm involved in, I'll convey that message back to them.
Yeah, even
have
if it's
them
a
come
written
out.
document saying this is
Right.
what it's gonna cost, so we have and this is what our enrollment is, so we can analyze it and say, hey, if you raise it $5, it covers it, or it looks like it's a lot of money because you don't have a big enrollment, and we'll have to
Right.
see what we could do, or get some local vendors to support them, to pay for it. There's avenues there,
There are, but.
but I don't know what the impact is to them.
Right, and I'm just gonna joke with this a little bit. In '93, when I was playing Little League for you, it was what, $25, $30 a student at that point, or an athlete at that point in time. It's $180 now at a minimum for a
Yeah.
kid to play a
No, I
sport
know.
in this community. And then you add $5, it's $185, and then the jersey price goes up $3. Now it's $187, $188, and then you keep adding up costs. It's going to be $200 before we're said and done.
What does it take to send your child or daughter to, your son or daughter to daycare?
Of course,
Yeah,
the cost of
it's
everything is going
just
up.
the
so
way it is.
What can we control at the local level so that we can provide that access for our students, for our community? As we push this field, this was a community project. And, there are people on this board, we worked hard to get this community to buy this project, and I'm proud of it. I'm looking forward to opening day of football season on this field. But I'm looking more forward to watching our youth enjoy this for the next 50 years while I'm here. And I worry that we're setting ourselves up and we're creating an exclusive situation here rather than an inclusive situation based off of allowing the insurance company to govern what we're doing. And I speak that, with sincerity. I love what you guys do and I support you 100%. But I have kids here. I have kids, families, friends that have kids, and I'd love to see them have access to our facilities. That's, and I think I share the sentiment with everyone here.
I don't disagree with you.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't think anybody disagrees with that last part of that sentiment. I mean, I don't, as having kids in the community as well. My conflict is just really going against what our insurance company is requiring for us. That is correct. Ice hockey is pretty expensive.
I think to move this along, I mean, we have a couple avenues to take. I mean, the first one, and don't take this negatively, but we can deny everything and just move on. Second one is, I don't think, at least I can't turn my back and move it forward, knowing that NYSER is already aware from last year and possibly this year that this discussion's out there. The last one would be, how do we help support it, either fully or partially? I think that's the decision that we have to make. I mean, you can make any one of those three decisions, but I think that's the only three that we can move forward on. Deny everything totally, turn our backs to nicer, or support it fully or partially. Tough decision, but I think we have to have that conversation. Otherwise, we're going to be here and keep everybody here for another 2 or 3 hours.
I know I'm
Andy's
really
already-
pushing my limits right
Andy's
now,
already
and Dave,
snoozing.
you can answer right from where you are. You don't have to get up. Would the town be at all open to splitting the cost of that extra insurance? I think. Right, absolutely. Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. No, it's just a question just in terms of kind of what we're talking about.
If
Just
they
on the.
can't, what's our next move? If they can't, if the rest of the board says no to supporting that, we don't have another
Right.
meeting till July 1.
Yep.
We can call a special meeting. I mean, if we get the consensus here that we can move forward somehow, we can call a special meeting. Dave, would another scenario to the town to split the costs, maybe throw that out at them? Now we're looking at shared service. Jen, Janine, Tom, Mike, thoughts?
I think we need time for more conversation to happen. Yeah.
I mean, we've done it before. We've had a meeting on the 26th of graduation night, but I don't know if you want to wait that long, and I don't know if we can.
I don't think he's going to be able to wait that long.
Yeah. Because the permits and all that would have to go through.
If
But
we have
the
anything
permit
for the
is
town
separate,
board to
though. That
decide, I
can-
would want to have something right
Permit
after
can
so that we
start,
can
though.
have it decided and the town can figure out which way they're going. Exactly.
Yeah.
And the permit to New York State, I can't submit it until I have all of the insurance documents and all of the extracts, the IDs, all of that information. So until they settle on, you know, the company, I can't submit anything to state ed.
No, you can't.
I understand that, but if, I can't.
Just to move it along a little bit, I'm just going to ask the board members for just to poll you in a decision or your feelings of full support or partial support. I mean, we got to know if we're going to generate a special meeting after Dave gets the opportunity to speak with his board. If you're willing to do partial, full, or turn your back.
Partial.
And we would still need the educational component so that it's not looked at as a gift of public funds. That's, if we're gonna be partnering, we need that educational component.
Well, we would, like I said earlier, we would we would push it through as a rental of an athletic space.
Yeah, and that's what I was, you know, if there's we might need some time to approach it differently. In other words, the resolution as it stands right now that we were looking to do doesn't sound like there's support for that, Joel. But I think that some additional strategies need to be explored. You know, and that might be legal, calling the towns legal with some background and have them talk about it and see if a solution emerges. If you're still polling the board for where their support is full or half, I'm at full, and, you know, I'm looking to help the community continue its traditions. Whatever that is, full, half, quarter, full plus half.
This is a really, really tough spot. I am all for being community-minded. It's what I love about Highland and I value about Highland. I respect that there are vendors that benefit from these events. I'm also struggling with being mindful of the use of our funds and what they're supposed to be used for with educational programs. I don't have a clear path on what I want to do. I am in support of this event, and I do not want to be a roadblock to it, but I also want to be mindful that we're not opening that can of worms, that if we craft some agreement to support this, then how do we turn down every youth program, every educational program that needs, you know, a bump here, you know, a partnership here? Like, I don't want to I feel like we're the villain no matter what we do. We're the villain if we're the roadblock to this event. We're the villain if we have to turn other youth programs down. I am in support of the event. I do not want to be a roadblock. I'd love to think of creative ways to do this so that we are financially responsible and that we're putting the students in education and the funds for them first. It's not an answer yes or no. I'm really struggling with what path to take here because there's a case on all fronts on how to do this. So I'd be curious as to what the town says in partially funding so that we have a clearer path that way, and what other ways we could earmark this without being in violation of our insurance or putting us on the radar for anything of that nature. So that's kind of where I stand.
Either way is fine with me, partial or full. Of course, I would lean towards partial, but I think we're getting Dave's word that it's a one-time situation, that after this year, they're going to look for another venue, or insurance carriers around the state, it changes their requirements. But otherwise, you know, it's going to be back and forth. This is your year, this is your year, and that's not productive because, as Kevin says, it comes out of the same pocket. It comes out of the taxpayers. It's just where is it funneled through which entity? But I would support either one, more so the partial. This way, excuse me, we have the shared service there, and we're sharing the cost. When it comes down to the other organizations, like I said, we've got to bring them in. We've got to get a good feel of where they are with their requirements.
I guess I'll speak next. Obviously, as I mentioned earlier, I am in support of the event itself. It is a great community event. I know I have always attended it. From the school district perspective and from my duties as a trustee on the Board of Education and the fiduciary responsibilities we have, I cannot support it.
It's hard because we're here for the students to educate them, but we're also here for our community, and our students, they go hand in hand. I struggle with the idea of assisting with funding when we've turned other organizations from Boys and Girl Scouts to various athletic programs away because they have not had this. And these are our students who go through these doors every day. So I struggle with that aspect of it. also do not want the event not to happen because, again, it is a big community event. It is 4th of July. It is why we are all here. So, with that said, I would support partial, but Mr. Rizzo, I really hope that we can get these other organizations in here and get an idea of how much insurance they have, what they would be able to do, how much additional, what that additional looks like. Because if we're going to help, right, if we're going to help in this situation or we're going to help in other situations, then we need to know where we're at. It's got to be a meet halfway. So we got to get these organizations in here to see like what they have so we can, because if we're going to help with the town, we got to look at other creative ways to help with other organizations. Because again, we went out for this field, we went out to the community to support the capital project. We got to let people use this. Otherwise, what is it going to collect dust?
Okay, I believe the general feeling is that we're going to move forward supporting a partial or a full, but also make sure that we entertain the concerns of all the other youth organizations in the community.
So does
And I
that mean?
think, you know, during, however we make a decision to cover all the outside organizations, we have to look at that and see what the cost implication is and move it to a line item in our budget.
Does that mean we're asking administration to put together an educational component to this?
No, I think if we, the decision that we make, we're going to fund it through the rental of a sports facility. It's going to be a one-time only.
Shared or paid expense.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So I think at this point, we'll wait for Dave's response from his board. We'll try to generate a special meeting some point in time. Once we hear to kind of meet quickly, have that conversation again and move it to a resolution. Okay? Anybody else have any public comment? All right. Nothing else, we'll ask for an adjournment. Motion by Heather, second by Tom. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? So carried. Thank you.